Natalie Portman is a Hollywood feminist, and she just got called out by her own ilk, the feminists, for her feminist hypocrisy. Apparently 6 years ago at the Golden Globes, I believe this was 2018, so we're in the wake of the Me Too movement, she blithely made a comment about how there weren't enough female directors nominated for Best Motion Picture. And since then, it was pointed out that in these 6 years, she has made 8 movies and not a single one of them was directed by a woman.
What's the word? What's the phrase? Put your money where your mouth is?
Yeah. Can we take a look at that clip of her from the Golden Globes real quick?
It's as insufferable as you imagine.
Yes, she looks very satisfied with herself.
To be here to present the award for Best Director.
And here are the all-male nominees.
Says the self-flagellating loser who can't actually stand up for himself.
And all the women in the audience are like, you go, Natalie, you tell them. But she doesn't walk the talk. She's only worked with male directors since she complained about it. So really, this is a problem that's in her hands. The people watching the Golden Globes can't do anything about it. She actually has power in the industry and didn't use it to help female directors get exposure. So another person pointed out, remember the actress roundtables where everyone was like, it's so hard to work with female directors. Then Kirsten Dunst was like, not really, you just have to want to. So I went and looked this up. The Hollywood Reporter did one of these women's actress roundtables called Close Up, where Kirsten Dunst and Sarah Paulson and Jennifer Lopez and others were seated at a table to complain about how hard it is to be a woman in Hollywood and in a man's world in general. And Kirsten Dunst did, in fact, drop that truth bomb on them. So let's take a look at what she said.
Women directors on your show. It's shocking.
You know what's so funny? I've worked with so many female directors.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah, shocking.
But I think because I have really, I love women so much. I have really strong female relationships. And I've worked, like, Little Women was a female. Sofia Coppola, obviously.
I'm sorry, just no dudes like I just
love
dudes.
men.
I just love
Love
they
bros.
don't say that. Like that's not a thing.
I'm gonna work with her again this year. Like my girlfriends who did their first movie, like. And I've done Leslie Headland, like I've worked with so many female directors, and I think it's like up to us as actresses too to like.
She even wanted to pause when she said actresses because that term is not PC anymore. You're supposed to refer to them as.
Oh, she's not supposed to say actresses.
You're supposed to say actors.
Well, it's in the word actress is in the title of the round table.
But nowadays, you're not even allowed to say that anymore. You're supposed to refer to them as both because gender segregating it is bad.
Yeah, so a lot of the comments were pointing out this moment. They were praising Kirsten Dunst. They said, when Kirsten Dunst says they as actresses have a responsibility to uplift female filmmakers.
No, they don't. First of all, no, they don't.
They don't.
Nobody has a responsibility to uplift anyone.
To that point, you're right. The actresses do not actually have a responsibility to uplift female directors, but if they are accepting that premise, thank you
guys.
If they are accepting that they have to use their platform for good, they have a responsibility with their platform, then it would only make sense for them to actually follow through on it.
You're not you have no responsibility to do anything but your job. They're making it harder on themselves for the sake of sounding and looking virtuous.
Right. They said she's one who walks the walk, doesn't talk the talk. She's worked with so many female directors, it's absolutely nuts. A-list actresses have more power than the vast majority of female directors. That's just true. Hats off to Kirsten Dunst. And another said, I loved what Kirsten Dunst said when she turned the sexism question around and called out actresses having to wear ball gowns at these roundtables. I have always found it ridiculous.
So hard to be a woman.
Even though they're all insufferable feminists, at least one of them is staying philosophically consistent with her actions. And Natalie Portman does not have any room to complain. If you want to uplift female directors because you think they're oppressed in Hollywood, which they're not, then let your actions do the talking for you instead of just trying to get clapped at an award show.
Yep. I would love to know if there's been like a situation where she was like up for 2 roles. They're like, oh, she could do, because that happens all the time, right? Like, I've done either of these movies. I can only do one. And she always takes the male director because it's just the better movie.
Right. It's her internalized misogyny.
That's
I'm
what it
sure.
is. It's what it is. Look, again, I hate to stress this part, but it's like when you make yourselves easy targets for criticism, when you can't help but pat yourselves on the back constantly and make it about more than it is. Worse than the bad movies these days is the self-aggrandizement that comes from like pretending like it's more than just, you know, corporatized entertainment, which is what it is. None of this has any deeper meaning. You could say that it has societal impact. I would say most of the time detrimental societal impact, but it's not deep. I hate to use that phrase, and because one of the ones I don't like it when people say, who cares, right? I don't like that one as much because clearly it's like whenever we post something and somebody says, who cares about this? Well, you commented on it. Clearly somebody cares. But it's like, I do wonder if some of the time it's just, would it be easier to just be like, it's not that deep. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
And they can't help it. But I guess
they're in
their own bubble.
Ziegler's vagina.
They're in their own bubble.
I'm sorry.
They're in their own bubble. They've got their own thing going on. And I think for a lot of it, there's the inability to touch grass and see things from an outside perspective. But it's like, do you even hold that against them? Like, most people can't escape their own bubble once they find themselves in there.
I do hold it against them since you ask. Yes. But you also brought up another thing that Natalie Portman recently said. She said that method acting is a luxury that women can't afford.
Well, they can't marry their mothers and their partners.
I mean, I would say Natalie Portman can afford many luxuries that most women can't afford, but she doesn't really have room to talk, in my opinion. But she said, I've gotten very into roles, but I think it's honestly a luxury that women can't afford. I don't think that children or partners would be very understanding of, you know, me making everyone call me Jackie Kennedy all the time. Do you think she's right? Is only Jared Leto allowed to be an asshole for a role?
Right now, the gender of it doesn't even matter because everybody's crapping on method actors these days. Everyone makes fun of it as silly. Also, people will mistakenly say that Heath Ledger was a method actor, and he very much wasn't. There's this great interview with Aaron Eckhart where he's talking about doing the hospital scene in The Dark Knight after the explosion, and half his face is gone. He's talking about how, like, between takes, like, him and Heath are laughing and stuff, and then just snap right back into character. But there's like a public fascination with the idea of getting so entrenched into character. There was just the thing. Who was the celebrity who was talking about? Was it Dave Chappelle, or who was it talking about meeting Jim Carrey and being like, I had to call him Andy Kaufman. It was ridiculous.
There was also that fascination with Margot Robbie's story that Jared Leto was like mailing her dead animals and stuff.
Used condoms.
Still
no idea whose used condom it was, but that's a question for the ages.
He was just really artistic and really getting into his role, but I don't know a lot about the philosophies of acting. Yeah. I would say that it makes you a more skilled actor if you don't have to method act. Yeah. If you don't have to fully dissociate into a new identity to be good at your role.
Yep, they give examples here.
But would you say that Natalie Portman has a point here?
Look, I don't like they're saying husbands and kids, right? A lot of these people aren't even married and they don't want kids.
Is Natalie Portman married?
I have no idea. Like, if she's got kids, then yeah, that's probably true. Like for the guy, like as long as aren't we in this equal society now? Can't the dad be the one who says mommy's just acting right now, mommy's just in character? Wouldn't that have been the wife's job before if Robert De Niro was staying in character while doing Taxi Driver, and then the kids, he comes home to the kids and all of a sudden he's being really mean to them or something? Like, I just don't know. Like it's like the constant fascination with putting it on gendered lines. I just think that there's more interesting discussions that could be had. It's also not something that somebody who does local theater and works at Walmart has the luxury to do, regardless of gender. So why break it down only around gendered lines?
The reason that these headlines happen, it is to blame, like the actors are to blame for the fact that these sound bites happen because they are obnoxious and addicted to complaining and addicted to feeling they're put upon and oppressed. However, it's funny how this will come from like a 7-page long interview with the Wall Street Journal, and the headlines that get picked and recycled in the media are always the ones that are rage bait, like this one.
Yeah. They point out that Mads Mikkelsen this year called method acting silly and pretentious.
Oh, yeah, he did.
I love that. I like Mads Mikkelsen's very non-American. He's very aloof and cold in his interviews, and I enjoy that.
Well, the only thing I have of him in recent memory is him telling off that reporter for pointing out that his movie isn't going to be eligible for Oscars because it's not diverse enough.
Yeah.
They were asking for his opinion on the Oscars standards.
The reporter got the short end of the stick on that one.
Yeah, he got trashed.
He didn't actually do anything
Poor
wrong.
guy.
Yeah. Not that I like to stand up for journalists all that often, but the
journos.
journo didn't actually do anything wrong in that topic on that day. But, you know, like, I guess as long as there's still these women's summits and these women's roundtables, these conversations are still going to happen, and we're not
I
going to
like
be able
your
to escape
idea.
it.
We need men's roundtables, men's summits,
Bro.
men's conferences,
Bro.
the works.
Like, just bro.
Where
Tons
Christopher
of-
Nolan can sit at a round table with like Robert De Niro.
They're drinking beer
Leonardo
and eating
DiCaprio.
nachos.
Yeah, they're drinking ultra right beer, and Christopher Nolan says that his creativity is stored in the balls.
He's like, it's all about semen retention when you're making a movie, man. He's like, dude, just sometimes the creativity has to find its way out. Creativity will out, and you just make it, dude, and then you just dump it on the screen. Except for you have to do it in a pretentious accent when you're doing it. But no, they all get together and they all just start sounding like frat bros while they're doing it, and it's fantastic. And then they're just like some woman's like, why are there men's summits? And they're like, didn't you read the sign? And there's like a no girls allowed sign on the door.
It's in a treehouse.
It's in a treehouse, and they're all just hanging out, bro. And they call each other bro all the time. That's the rule, bro. We need more men's summits.
Men in Hollywood Summit. I know everyone says it. Imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine if we reversed the genders. Then you would see how stupid all of these women's summits are. They don't accomplish anything. It's just people who feel euphoric because they're victims.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.